Happy Friday. It's Friday, Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. I showered last night way later than like normal. So I'm exhausted because I didn't get to bed until after midnight, and because I showered I was like wide awake, and so I was just laying in my bed like trying to force myself to go to sleep, but I desperately needed a shower. I've been neglecting my scalp for the last few days because when I was at the pool the other day I got sunburn on my damn scalp and it hurt to touch, so I've been avoiding washing my hair, but it was time, and I am so glad that I did because I feel 10,000 times better now. Speaking of hair, I've seen a lot of people say that after being on Mounjaro for a little while, their hair will either start thinning or it'll start falling out, and I think I'm starting to notice it a little bit. I didn't think I was going to because I figured I've been on it for 6 months already and I haven't noticed anything, but recently, the last few times I've like showered and brushed my hair when my hair is wet, I'm definitely noticing a lot of thinning like on the sides right here. Now that could also just be my PCOS. And I have very, very, very thin hair as it is, and I wear my hair like up and back a lot, if you guys haven't noticed. And yeah, so it's definitely, I'm seeing definitely starting to thin a little bit. So if anybody has any tips or tricks about that, please, for the love of God, let me know, because I cannot afford to lose any more hair. Even when I was in the shower yesterday, like chunks were coming out, and I'm figuring that's just because, like I said, I've been ignoring my scalp for a few days because it's so tender. So I haven't been like brushing it like I should, so I'm assuming that's just all shed. But I was like, oh no, I can't afford to lose any more hair. So definitely gonna be looking into some like biotin, maybe shampoo or something to help strengthen at least what I have left, because your girl's getting thin. So someone in my life is in the process of getting bariatric surgery, like the beginning stages of it.
In 2 miles, take
oh my
exit
goodness,
299.
excuse me. And we've been talking, and it's been making me reminisce a lot on my bariatric journey. If you know, some of you guys may not know, but I had bariatric surgery in 2017, and I lost almost 100 pounds and gained almost all of it back over the last handful of years. And it made me start to think, if I was going through this experience again, what would I do differently? And there's a handful of things, like what I wish I knew and what I would have done differently. There's a handful of things. So I guess the things I wish I knew at that time in 2017, I wasn't as fully aware of just how deep rooted my food addiction was. I knew I had impulse issues with food, and I knew that I had trouble saying no to things, but in my brain I didn't classify it as like a food addiction. I didn't classify it as like binge eating. So going through the entire process, I was aware that this was not a magic surgery, that I was going to have to put the work in behind it. But I think I was just anticipating that part of my brain to realize, okay, we can't eat as much anymore, or we can't eat these certain types of foods, or we'll get sick anymore. And when that didn't happen necessarily, my brain was like, oh, heck yeah, we can still do what we've always done. And it took a while. I mean, it's not like 3 days after my surgery I was out, getting McDonald's and all of that stuff, but it slowly started to creep back into the point where I could do all of those things. So I wish I knew just how much of a mental thing getting bariatric surgery is. And yes, I had to do the psych eval, and to be honest with you, I can't remember like anything about it, and I don't think I intentionally was untruthful, because I'm always very honest, even when I'm in the wrong. Like, I take full responsibility for things that I do, because I think that that's important as an adult to do. And although I was obviously in my young 20s when I had my surgery done, that's still something that I've always believed in, is just being honest. And so I don't think I would have lied to get myself through that, but because I didn't know just how big of a mental issue I had surrounding food, I just wasn't like aware of it, I guess. I think that maybe unintentionally diminished my answers, like downplayed what my answers were to the questions. So the things that I would change about my bariatric surgery or experience, right off of the bat, I did not like my nutritionist, and I had to see her for 6 to 8 months, I think. I can't remember, this was so long ago now. Right off the bat, I didn't like her. She was not helpful. She was very just like, well, yeah, then stop eating that, or yeah, if you go out to a restaurant, then look at the menu beforehand. Like, we never went over meal plans. She never showed me sizes of things I should be eating. It was just a lot of, yeah, you just have to pre-plan and then eat it and then stick to it. And so if I could go back now, being older and knowing what I know and all of these things, I would have requested right away for a new nutritionist. Because for me, what would happen is I would go to the appointments, we would talk for probably 30 minutes, I would leave feeling like no different, and then on my way home I would stop and get a McFlurry and French fries from McDonald's. And that should have been a huge sign to me that I was not ready. I was not mentally ready to get this surgery done. Another thing I wish I would have changed is when I had my liquid diet beforehand, I wish I would have been more honest with myself, again, because this is another sign showing that I was not ready, because I would do the liquid diet, or I did the liquid diet for a few days, and then I would have like not one full meal, but I would consume food when you're not supposed to consume anything at all. And to me, again, that just showed that I was not ready for this. Another thing I wish I could do differently is I wish the second I felt myself slipping that I would have said something to somebody. I wish I wouldn't have hid it. I wish that I would have gotten in to see my doctor sooner and not have been embarrassed about falling off track. Because the longer I waited, the deeper into falling off I got and getting back into old habits before I asked for help. And the only reason I asked for help was because I started gaining weight again. And I was so embarrassed at the thought of going back and showing my surgeon that I had failed. But once I hit that 20 mark, regained back, and I noticed all of these old habits slipping back in, I got scared, and I did go back, and I saw them, and they told me that this happens very, very, very often, and that a lot of people have this guilt and this shame coming back into the doctor's office, but that's why they're there. And so I was glad that I went, but if I could go back, I would have went a lot sooner. I think another thing that I would change is they put me on Phentermine that first time when I went back, and I think I would go back and ask them to try something different first, or try to attack this, or what was happening at the time, more from the mental side rather than the physical side, because the Phentermine, yes, it made me lose weight, but I hated being on it. I felt like I was on heavy drugs, or at least what I can imagine a heavy drug would feel like. It was horrible. I hated it. It made me feel so out of it and loopy and jittery, and just, yeah, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. So that's definitely another thing that I would change. I think I would change also not getting into an exercise routine, or, you know, kind of implementing movement when I was at my lowest weight, and like trying to fall in love with the gym while I was in a good mental and physical state after my surgery. Because who knows, maybe if I would have done it then, I would have kept the momentum going now. But really, my whole takeaway from this whole experience is, no matter what surgery you get, no matter what pills you take, no matter what injections you take to help with your weight, if you are not mentally ready, if you are not mentally prepared or in a position where you can work on your mental health either first or alongside the weight loss, it's not going to work. And I really wish I knew back then just how big of a part mental health played in all of this, and food addiction and binge eating disorder and all of that stuff, because for so long I've tried to tackle them separately. I've tried to, you know, oh, well, I'll work on my mental health once I lose weight, or vice versa. They need to be tackled together, and that's what I keep saying, and I've said it time and time again, that this time I'm trying to do things and fix things from the inside out. This medicine, this Mounjaro, has helped my mental health so incredibly much, and like I've said before, and again, I will say it again, it's given me the space that I need, the capacity, the brain capacity to focus on my physical health, because my mental health is somehow being affected. My addiction is becoming under control. My impulse control is way better. Like, we're working on it together. These two things go hand in hand. So those are some of the things I wish I knew. Get my mental health in check. Be honest about my addictions and all those other things. And yeah, that's really all I got. It's a lot more mental than people think, and that's something huge that I wish I realized back then. But there's nothing I can do about it now, and I've accepted that. And the new journey that I am on, I feel good with, and I am so thankful that I had that journey when I did, and I don't regret it at all. But those are just some things I learned and some things I wish I knew. So everybody, have a great Friday.